What's going on, YouTube world? This is your guy, Sealz the man. Thank you for coming back and rocking with me on another video. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to talk about something about my personal development, a step in my manhood that I had to overcome in order to become a better man. Not saying I'm the greatest man, not saying I'm perfect, but this was something that was big for me as a man that I had to master, that I had to work on, that I had to get help on in order to become better. And this is something important for y'all to know about your man, your son, men in general. And that is when I was an untrusting man. I didn't trust no one, like literally no one. There was a point in my life where I got my heart broken, came out of left field. The situation was crazy. I was young, so it was a really dark time because I didn't know how to manage the situation. I wasn't mature enough to think it through or seek help. So I was doing this all on my own as a young Sealz the man, trying to figure things out. But I like to harp back onto those moments because that was a turning point in my life. That was a pivot in my manhood, and in also learning how to love again, learning how to accept love. Most of all, accepting love. But in those non-trusting moments of my life, it affected all my relationships. Instead of thinking about the good things or about the good possibilities or how this woman could benefit my life, I was thinking about the ways and how she can destroy me. What did she really want with me? The negative things. And it came so easily. Those thoughts came so easily because I was non-trusting. But I feel like a lot of y'all deal with men just like this, who do not trust for whatever reason. Whether they got their heart broken or their trust taken advantage of. These important men in your life are non-trusting and probably don't even trust you. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about, from my perspective and the perspective of a man who has healed from that, on how to regain the trust of a non-trusting man. All right, so before I start, make sure you follow me, like, comment, subscribe, do all those wonderful things for me, and comment whatever you feel like in the comment section below. I'm truly grateful for y'all feedback. All right, let's get started. The first thing that I suggest, coming from the perspective of a man who has healed from that, is that you should never make it a mission to make him trust you. You should never make it a steadfast goal, a forced agenda to make him trust you. You know why? Because men who have been betrayed or lost their trust or heartbroken are very sensitive. People like to talk about how sensitive women are, but real talk, if we really being real here, coming from me, a man, men can be way more sensitive depending on the situation. Cause I know, cause I was that guy. I was super sensitive. I wouldn't admit it, but I would be sensitive about things that I shouldn't have been sensitive about. I was ready to snap on things or people, and I shouldn't have felt that way. But that was all because of me not trusting anyone. The roots of that was my non-trust. So because men who have been through those things are super sensitive, just the slightest sign of you pushing in an agenda to make him trust you can push him away. Literally. Just the slightest look or feeling that you are trying to force something on him that he is not ready for, or that y'all have not talked about, or that y'all too, as a relationship and a couple, have not prepared for, can push a man away. Because you got to remember, a lot of people who struggle with trust struggle with believing in you. And it doesn't matter how important you are. It doesn't matter how good you are. For a person who struggles with trust, a lot of times they do not believe in you because there was once a time where they believed in someone who they had great respect for and they still betrayed them or broken their trust. So now it's like for this person, they have to start all over. So one thing I want you to remember is to not take this personally. You could be a great person, but you got to remember who you're dealing with. You're dealing with a man who does not trust. There are a lot of complexities with this. And most times it is not personal to you. It is a general feeling for all. So once again, do not make it a mission. Do not make it forceful to the point where he feels like you're trying to make him trust you. It has to be natural. The second thing that I suggest in order to gain or regain the trust of a non-trusting man is to show him things that he's not used to. With this, you gotta get him out of his comfort zone. Get him out of the usual. You gotta show him something. What's not talked about enough in the method of healing is that our comfort zone is more than likely the home to our fears, our struggles, our issues, our distrust. Our comfort zone are more times than not the anchor to those issues. So when a person is in their comfort zone and at the same time trying to heal or recover or get better with a certain issue, it can be difficult because it is that comfort zone that nurtures those issues. Therefore, you got to show something different. You got to get them out of that zone, especially if a person is used to a certain environment, a certain group or type of people. Because when you're with the same type of people, in the same type of environment, you get the same type of results. And if those results in him losing his trust, if those results are things that makes a person lose their trust, then it will keep happening if he remains in that comfort zone, in that usual space. He has to get out of that. So when you show him something different, you will get different results. When you show him new positivity, new good vibes, new ways of healing, new avenues of help, that will help him and in turn help y'all. The next thing, the third thing that I suggest in order to gain or regain the trust of a non-trusting man is you gotta be open. Even if you have a shield up yourself from your own past experiences, you have to find a way to be more open, because two closed people, two people with walls up is not gonna help y'all relationship. It's not gonna help y'all thing. In fact, it might not last long because there's two walls staring at each other. What is that gonna do? No one is willing to break down their wall for the other, so it's just gonna be a stalemate. Doesn't help none of y'all. But when it comes to you and you trying to gain the trust of the important man in your life who doesn't trust, you have to be transparent. Just the way I'm talking to you right now about my experiences and my moments of distrust in my life, you have to do that in order to gain the confidence of that man. Because one thing I do not like is when I'm being lectured by someone or told to do something by someone who are not willing to do that same thing for themselves. You can't tell me to do something if you ain't doing it. And also with this, when you tell me your story, when you're transparent, when you're open about your struggles, especially this one specifically, it shows me that you understand my plight. It shows me that you understand what I'm going through. And if it feels like you understand what I'm going through, then I'm more likely and willing to listen to you and to taking the things that you're telling me or telling me to do because you've been through it. You can't tell me to do something if you've never been through it. Be open, be willing, be transparent. He will have more confidence in you when you tell him more about yourself, especially if you've been through this same process or the same issue of not trusting people. And these are the traits of a leader. A leader does not just yell, they show. The next thing that I suggest in order to gain or regain the trust of a non-trusting man, don't try at all. Those who follow me know that I love science and I love nature and I love giving examples in order to prove my point because it makes more sense to me in order to tell y'all to make more sense, right? Saying all that, I want you to think about this. Flowers and plants, they bloom on their own timing. They also bloom based on their environment and their conditions. There's a lot of elements involved in blooming. And as the plant dad that I am, I know this all too well. You see, when I first get a plant or I see a plant online or something and I'm like, yo, that plant looks amazing. That is fire. I need that plant in my spot. And then I get the plant, right? But it's in its infancy. It's not its full form yet. It's still early in its stages, so I gotta wait till it grow. Like this money tree behind me. I got this money tree when it was like relatively small. But now it's like taking up my space and I'm about to tell it to get a job because you're not gonna just take up all the space in my apartment without working for it. Like what? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get back on track. I got this plant, it's in its infancy, it's in its early stages. Now I gotta wait for it to grow, but I want it to grow to that picture that I saw online so bad. I want it to get to its full form so bad. I want that. But then I realized, Sealz, you gotta calm down. You gotta take a chill pill real quick because it is going to do its own thing on its own timing, in its own way. No matter how much I want this thing to happen, no matter how much I want this process to speed up, it's going to do it in its own timing, in its own way. Therefore, the only thing that I can do to help that is to be patient. The only thing that I can do to help that happen is to control its conditions and to control and nurture its environment. The environment that I put it in, is it good for it to grow, for it to bloom, for it to get to that form that I want it to get to? The care I give it, the attention I give it, the controllables. But all of this plant talk applies to you as well when it comes to regaining the trust of a non-trusting man in your life. No matter how much you want this man in your life to trust you or to gain trust in general, to trust everybody, to be trusting again, you cannot make that happen. But you can nurture his environment. You can nurture the home that y'all are in. You can pay more attention to him. You can be his rock. You can be his best friend. You can be his aid in his moments of distrust. You can be there for him. You can only control what you can control, the controllables. So when I say don't try at all, what I'm saying is do everything that is possible to set the table. Because at the end of the day, he has to make the decision to trust you, to trust again. But if you are there helping him, doing all the intangibles, setting the table, setting the conditions right, setting the environment right, then that is all you can do. And that is the right thing to do. And piggybacking off of that, the fifth suggestion that I give in order to gain the trust of a man who does not trust is to remember and know that love wins. I'm not even trying to sound cheesy right now, but love wins. Love is stronger than hate, but it takes time. Love wins, but it is a process. Love wins, but it is not an overnight story. And remembering this, when it comes to the man of your life, whether he is your son, your husband, your boyfriend, your dad, you have to remember that love wins, but it will take time. Do all the things that I talked about and suggested in this video. All those things are a part of a process. They will take time. None of these things will give instant results. They take time. But if you truly love him, you will invest that time. And the thing with time is, when you build things over time, when you take your time and not rush it, those structures become stronger because there's more time invested into it. There's more details into it. When it feels like you're doing all that you can and he still doesn't trust you or still doesn't trust, try not to give up easily, because he has to accept it. He has to learn. He has to recover on his timing. And that is not personal to you. And a great way to understand this is to put yourself in his shoes, especially if you were in his shoes at one point in your life. All right, so I hope this video brings value to you. I hope it helps you, because it is important to be with someone who at least trusts you. And it is also great to see someone who has faith and trust in humanity. I'll catch y'all on my next video. Thank you for being here. Once again, peace and blessings. Goodbye.